I don't know what I'm more confused by right now, to be quite honest with you, Chaser. Our training camp that we're in and all the things that we're trying to do to improve our lifestyle and the shape of our body, that confuses me. Or the NFL lockout right now. I have no clue what is going on there at all right now.
I think the big thing right now is you're confused by both.
Yeah.
Mostly because you're unfamiliar territory for both.
The working out makes my muscles sore. The NFL lockout makes my brain sore.
There you go. That's a great way to look at it.
We need a guy to help us out, and that's why we have Eric Macramalla from sportslawblog.ca. He's with us this morning. Eric, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, guys. What confuses me are my eyebrows.
Why do you
They're
just
out
have
of control? I'm in my mid-30s. I'm a young guy.
Yeah.
And these things keep growing like they're on something. They have sideburns, for crying out loud.
Your eyebrows have sideburns?
Well, let me ask you.
I have to get them blow-dried in the morning.
I was just going to say, you can get them trimmed, right, at the barber and stuff?
You may want to do something about that.
I know.
Yeah.
Speak to the girlfriend. She agrees.
Wow, you have a girlfriend and you have horrible eyebrows? Now I don't believe you, Eric. Now you lost me.
I'm that good a salesman, guys.
Is it a nuglu, like one eyebrow?
No. I have two separate eyebrows, thank God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have these long hairs that have started to grow, and they don't belong on my eyebrows. They belong on my head.
Jeez, I'm wondering if we even need to get to the NFL lockout at this point. We could easily do 6 or 7 minutes on Eric Macramalla's eyebrows this morning. Yeah.
We're just browsing today.
Yes.
Eric, for the average NFL fan out there, a stay has been granted. Explain that to them.
Well, what happened is this. The NFL went to court, and they asked the Court of Appeal to grant a stay or a temporary postponement of the lower court's decision to end the lockout. And the Court of Appeal agreed. So what happened is they restored the lockout. The lockout is back in place. But that was just a temporary postponement, like a week or so. Now the next step is that same Court of Appeal is going to decide whether to grant an even longer postponement of that stay, or that is to keep the lockout in place for another month or two. And then the reason that's happening is, the third thing is, that same Court of Appeal is also going to decide whether the judge was right in the first place to actually end the lockout and say the lockout wasn't legal. So right now, lockout is back in place. We should know this week whether there'll be a longer lockout in place. And then in about a month or two, that same Court of Appeal will decide whether the lockout should be lifted completely.
I was reading on your blog this morning, and just talk a little bit about on the political side of it with the Democrats and the Republicans and how that's broken down. I found that interesting.
Yeah, up until this point, guys, everything went as scripted. There were no surprises. When the NFL went and sought a temporary stay, guys, and you only get this on an emergency basis, I'm going to post the decision of the court. And one of the judges said, look, this is the kind of thing you get, if someone's about to be executed, for example. Mm-hmm. But not in a situation where, you have an NFL locking out the players. And what was interesting, though, is that on the panel of the Court of Appeal, you have 3 judges. And 2 of them were appointed by Republican presidents. And 1 was appointed by a Democratic president. 2 were appointed by George W., and the 3rd one was appointed by Bill Clinton. And there was actually a party divide on this decision. 2 of the Republican judges, for lack of a better way to characterize them, sided with the NFL. And we know that traditionally Republicans tend to be more conservative and maybe less pro-union. Mm-hmm. And then the 1 judge that was appointed by Bill Clinton sided with the players. So I remember before this temporary stay was heard, what's referred to as a motion. That means you just go to court and you have the court sort of decide a minor issue that's part of a bigger trial. I remember saying to some people, I'm wondering here what's going to happen. This may not go as scripted. The NFL may actually prevail here because you have 2 out of 3 judges that were appointed by Republicans.
That is interesting. That's a weird. I mean, we've gone from just athletes and owners being involved to the courts being involved, and then now the political side comes into it a little bit as well. How sad/ugly is it that instead of talking about negotiating, this is what we're talking about?
Well, first you mentioned sad/ugly. I thought you were referring to my eyebrows. And I didn't appreciate that reference, guys. As a side note, I'm going to put on the blog this morning a link to Lisa Loeb's song "Stay."
Yeah,
I Missed You.
That's a good tune.
I urge your listeners to listen to the lyrics, because they actually pretty much apply here. And it is unfortunate. Of all the leagues, the NFL is by far the strongest league. On top of that, guys, it's one of the strongest businesses in North American history. Mm-hmm. They've got over $9 billion in revenue. You put that in perspective, outside the world of sports, that's pretty impressive when it comes to revenue. A lot of people are starting to get ramped up for the NFL season, fans and players alike. So there are fairly obvious areas of compromises, guys, and I said this before, fairly obvious areas of compromise, and what I mean by that is that, that this is an issue about money. We're not looking at an overhaul of the NFL business model like we did with the NHL and the lockout in 2004, 2005, which resulted in the loss of an entire season. This is just, how do we split up this pie this year and moving forward? So right now there's about a $300 or $400 million difference on how to split up that pie. But of course that's just for 1 year. That would be times 4, 5, or 6 years, depending on how long the CBA lasts. So yeah, it is unfortunate, but I guess this is just the nature of the beast.
Eric, in your opinion, are we playing football when we're supposed to be this year?
And if you asked me that before this day, I would say yes, we're going to have football. But remember, here's the thing, and this is important for the listeners. If the lockout is in place for the next month or two before the Court of Appeal has a chance to listen to both sides make their argument why the lockout should end, that takes us into July, maybe end of July. Season starts right after that. There's not a lot of time. And yesterday, Godell, I put this on Twitter, Godell said, I'm now kind of concerned we don't have enough time to get the season underway. Now that, of course, is posturing and negotiation. But to answer your question sort of in a short way rather than a long way is, for the first time this season, I'm concerned that football is going to start late.
Well, that would absolutely suck. Eric, you mentioned Twitter. How can people follow you on Twitter? What's the address?
Address is Eric on Sports Law, and the blog is sportslawblog.ca.
Excellent, man. Good luck with the eyebrows. We'll check in again.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that is Eric Macramalla.